Well, I'm Josh Brahm with Equal Rights Institute, and I want to talk to you for a few minutes about being pro-life at the holidays. I've been thinking a lot about this for the last few weeks, especially. Rachel Crawford on our staff and I started having conversations about maybe writing a couple of articles to help pro-life people to navigate Thanksgiving and Christmas well when awkward political debates come up, which is, I think, one of the toughest situations to navigate. So I'm just going to tell you a couple of things that I noted in the articles, but I'd highly encourage you to read them if you want to get all of the tips. But just in case it's not going to happen, here are just a couple of highlights from those articles. One thing you need to keep in mind, and one of the reasons why I think that it is so complicated to do political debates, assuming you're talking to family members who disagree with you. Like we're assuming you're talking, it's like your pro-choice aunt or your pro-choice grandfather, wants to make a debate happen with you. It's really complicated for one thing because of all the history that are in families. Family dynamics are just complicated things, right? But also, and this is a thing that Rachel pointed out to me, and I think is really important, which is the different power dynamics that are at play in a family. Because generally speaking, if you're going to change someone's mind, it's going to be because you guys think of each other as peers. It's pretty hard to change someone's mind if they subconsciously look down on you. And that just happens a lot if you're talking to older family members. If you're talking to someone in your family who used to babysit you when you were a little kid or like changed your diapers, it's probably going to be harder for them to take your ideas seriously. Now, this isn't always true, of course. Ideally, there's this thing I think that happens in healthy families where when you become an adult, or maybe once you hit a certain milestone in life where everyone kind of treats you more like a peer, because like we're all adults at this point, even if some of us are decades older. But that doesn't always happen. And if that doesn't happen in your family, I would not recommend trying to don't try to change your pro-choice grandfather's mind if he basically will always see you as a kid or like a dumb teenager at best or something like that. So that would be one thing to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind is I would not recommend initiating an abortion debate at the Thanksgiving dinner table. I think this is something that's this is a thing that happens. Like certainly political debates happen all the time around Thanksgiving tables. And I get that. In fact, I mentioned in my first piece that Saturday Night Live actually did a really funny skit kind of based on this idea, based on this premise that we all kind of agree on, that sometimes bad political debates happen at Thanksgiving. But as a pro-life person, as someone who I really care about changing people's minds about abortion. I don't think that the Thanksgiving table with extended family all around is the best place to have that conversation for a couple of reasons. One is that you're almost always going to be more likely to change someone's mind if you're one on one. When you add a bunch of people around, that just changes the way everything feels. Now people are thinking more about how do they look to other people than really taking like your idea seriously. And I want someone actually thinking to themselves, huh, I know that thing that Josh just said is different than what I think, but could he actually be right? Like, let me, compare his argument with mine and hopefully see that my argument is stronger, right? That is almost impossible. Like you have to have so much humility to be surrounded by family members and actually have a, humble, open-minded posture in a political debate. It just doesn't happen very likely. This is, by the way, one of the reasons why Facebook debate so rarely changes minds. People are thinking about how they look to other people. So I'm not saying that no one ever changes their mind or maybe at least softens their mind toward a view by reading a long Facebook debate. I know that happens sometimes, but you're going to make a much greater impact on someone if you can get one on one with them. So don't do it around the dinner table. I would try to keep the peace and, display love really well. Take an interest in your family members, especially, frankly, those who disagree with you about politically. Can you show your aunt who donates monthly to Planned Parenthood that you love her, that get interested in her life and her desires and what's going on with her? Keep in mind that Jason Lepijarvi definition of love that I think is so great, which says that love says that it's good that you exist. And insofar as I am able, I will contribute to your happiness, your existence, your flourishing. Can you show your pro-choice aunt who donates to Planned Parenthood that you love her that way? That's what I would be trying to do around the dinner table. And then if someone wanted to get into a political debate, maybe you've, posted a couple of ERI articles or something on your Facebook, and so like they're thinking about that, and they've been thinking about the fact that you're pro-life and wanting to get into a debate to show you how wrong you are, like that kind of thing. It's like it's fine, but can we do that after dinner? When there's not a dozen people here who are being forced to listen to a conversation that probably they don't really want to listen to. Especially if there are people who are post-abortive around your table. And just because you don't know if there are people who are post-abortive doesn't mean that you should assume that there are no post-abortive people in your family. So all that being said, this is a really complicated situation that a lot of conservatives do find themselves in, where maybe they're not initiating a big political debate. Maybe you are. I mean, if you are, I'd really encourage you to consider like maybe not doing that for the reasons I mentioned and more that are in the article. But even if you're not, someone else might be the instigator, who is just not thinking about these family dynamics and whether persuasiveness is, more likely in a one-on-one context than a big group context, or maybe frankly, they don't care. There are some people who just are coming into these dialogues with a different goal than we do at ERI. Like at ERI, we're trying to love this person well and change their mind. And a lot of other people are satisfied with merely kind of shouting their opinion, like maybe not literally shouting their opinion, but like just like as long as they stated truth and everyone knows what they think, then like they win, or like, or at least they've accomplished something. And that's just not my view. I think it's possible to state your opinion and have everyone leave worse than they were before. Like you can actually make them less likely to become pro-life or further from the pro-life position by acting rudely or making bad arguments or coming across like you don't actually care about women, like you only care about babies by being weird. Like there's all kinds of ways that you can kind of push people further from the pro-life view. So we don't want to do that. We want to help pro-life people with these practical tips and how not to do that. So if this is something that you think might come up for you this week, I would encourage you to take 10 minutes, and read these two articles that I wrote just with practical tips on how to be as effective as possible at Thanksgiving with your extended family. And in those, I'm including things to be keeping in mind from the outset, like as you're, as you're driving there, or preparing your own house, if that's what you're going to be doing. Like, here are some principles to keep in mind from the outset. And then I'm also offering some practical tips for what to do if kind of the worst case scenario happens, which is that, your pro-choice aunt does want to force an abortion debate at the table and you try to move it one-on-one, but it doesn't work. And it's just like, sometimes you just get stuck, and then you've just got to make the best that you can of a not great situation. I've written out a bunch of practical tips for how to make the best out of that situation. So I'd highly encourage you to check out the articles. The links will be in the description. And I pray that you will be able to love your family really well this Thanksgiving and this upcoming Christmas. God bless.